What happened here?
Oh, yeah. So the Great Translation Movement, for everyone that's new here, is a group of Chinese people who are going out on the Chinese internet and saying, we've had enough of this kind of language barrier that hides kind of what the government is brainwashing people to think.
Yeah.
Because the government, what they'll do is they'll go and put out xenophobic messages that says, oh, the rest of the world's bad, racist stuff, all kinds of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And they actually allow
Russia.
Yeah, supporting Russia, and they allow the populace to run amok, like some of the worst voices to run amok with these sentiments. And so the Great Translation Movement said, if we correct this behavior by showing the rest of the world in English or other languages what they're actually saying, what the government is putting into people's minds, then this behavior might be corrected.
Yeah.
We think it's an admirable effort. So what happened was that they took one of these, they've been under fire, right?
Yeah.
Like, these Chinese people are cherry picking like the worst of the worst and whatever, right?
Yeah.
So actually, good stuff comes out of it. Because
does.
at Columbia University, what happened was a Chinese student was applying to get in.
Yeah, to the Columbia Engineering
FSU
program. Or whatever it is.
And the Great Translation Movement found a post where he was bragging about how he was going to get guns and shoot Americans with them.
Yeah, he was responding to, he was basically commenting on the subway shooting thing, I believe.
Correct.
But during all that, he said, he's going to America to study at this university. He's just going to buy a gun and he can shoot American people.
And in response to them finding the message, translating and putting it out there, Columbia Engineering Program rejected his application.
They rescinded his application, which is good because you can't just go and say things like that, No. You can't say that you have intent to come to America, buy a gun, and shoot American people.
Correct.
Because those are his words.
Doesn't matter where you are.
Of course.
Can't be saying that.
So, like we said, his application was rescinded to the Columbia Chemical Engineering University. So that's good.
That's good. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
So the Great Translation Movement are pretty much heroes and probably prevented a potential, terrorist attack on American soil.
Yeah. This made me die laughing.
Yeah.
This is, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a personal story here, but when this is his personal computer,
of course, because you use it for your presentations, right?
Right, and so he's at the College of Veterinary Medicine. He goes up, and he obviously wanted to load up his PPT, his PowerPoint or whatever.
Yeah.
Do people in the West call it PPT? Or is that a China thing?
Yeah, maybe. I guess you'd call it, maybe in the West it's a PowerPoint presentation. We just say a PPT, yeah.
So he loads up his PowerPoint presentation, but it was his wallpapers in the background, which I think he probably had forgotten. Yeah. Because you know what happens when you plug in those projectors? Yeah. It'll actually show your desktop instead of whatever you had on there. Yeah, because
it sets it up as a different screen or whatever.
So he's probably working on it, had it up there, and he's like, well, he forgot about it, obviously. Yeah. And then his face is, him just bearing his head in his hand just makes me want to die. I love it.
Yeah.
But when I was in China, I was working in universities. They would have these kind of computers under glass.
Yeah.
And they'd be hooked up to something like this, right? Mm-hmm. A whiteboard, basically. Much worse conditions. This is like a nice school.
Sure.
And what it would be like they'd have an OS on there.
Yeah, Windows XP.
Windows XP, but it would be so compromised and so messed up with malware that you could barely do anything. Yeah. And they would have this virus scanner called Sanliuling, which is like a 360 scanner.
Yeah, and it overtakes the entire computer. It installs its own browser.
Yeah, so I was going to say, they came out with their own browser.
Yeah.
And the problem with it was, obviously, they use malware and things to put targeted ads and all this kind of stuff on there,
right?
And so what would happen is it would actually hijack your searches.
Yeah.
So instead of like, if you're searching like on Google Images or something, you want to type in like a horse, it'll show a horse, right?
Yeah. Well, you can't access Google, but
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you are on Google,
yeah.
You know, how you expect it to work. Now in China, when you're on one of these compromised ass computers, you type, I was trying to explain what a meme was. I didn't know the Chinese word for meme at the time.
Yeah.
This is a long time ago.
Sure.
And meme just was kind of a newish word in English, right? So I'm like, oh, let me type it in. So I typed it in to try to translate it, and it pops up with all of this like hentai,
right?
But like Chinese hentai.
Okay.
So like porn's banned,
sure,
in China, but like there's so many loopholes and stuff. So all these like play this hentai game, like hentai girls and all this kind of stuff pops up all over the screen. I was like, what the? Because I just typed in meme and Baidu Translate or something, and it hijacks and then searches this like. Yeah. Basically just a bunch of cartoon porn.
Yeah.
Pops up and I'm like, what the? What
am
I supposed to do here?
In front of a bunch of kids, yeah.
So embarrassed. But, at the some of the dudes were laughing,
Yeah.
but by and large, everyone was just so used to it, they didn't even bat an eyelid.
Sure.
Now this guy is a different story because he made his wallpaper.
Yeah, that's his wallpaper.
Right.
He chose that. Yeah.
That's a different story.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun thing.